It's for everybody. It's for the donor who gives $5 because something happened and they want to give back. And it's for the $1 million, we're going to help you match so that you understand and it's all in one place. How you give that money throughout the year and so that you're motivated to give to new orgs because maybe you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? Maybe you like to give to more than one cause because of your lived experience, right?
Hello, welcome to the show. I'm excited to be here with Dr. Andrea Ortega to talk about all things startups, but also a very special way of us redirecting dollars back to the communities that we care. So, Dr. Andrea, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thanks so much, Lucy. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. I followed you for a long time, got to connect with you, and something I'm very passionate about is wealth, and especially for us Latinas, and how we can put that into our lives in many different shapes and forms.
Yes, I love that. And just really normalize the idea that Latinas can be wealthy and having someone that can talk about why or how we can build wealth, but also again, redirecting. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like who you are for those people that are not familiar with your story.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Dr. Andrea Ortega. I am not the one that saves your life. I'm definitely, I have a PhD in public affairs. And really, I studied compliance for small grassroots nonprofits because those tends to be where a lot of my Hispanic and Latino and BIPOC led leaders are. And that's who I'm passionate about helping in the nonprofit sector. I've been in the nonprofit sector since I went to college at the University of Florida. For me, being a first generation immigrant, I moved to Miami when I was 8. And I always felt a really big hole for leaving my family behind, and maybe not my parents, but like my cousins, my uncles, all the people who made you feel like a big family. And I go back every year, but I fell in love with the nonprofit sector with an organization who would go back to Colombia every summer to give their pedacito, their little piece of giving back. And so began my journey in this space. And I've done so many things, got to work in the tech for good space, been a consultant after I experienced my first tech layoff. And now I'm building my own startup. And that's really fascinating to build it alongside my consulting firm because I get to meet the people who I want to use this platform for while I'm doing on the ground work for them. And that's how I kind of got connected with you. And something that I've had to navigate myself is the way I view wealth. I'm I'd say, a lot of us come from a very like scarcity mindset. That's the type of leaders I work with. But like funny enough, I was raised very privileged. I got my first credit card at like 13. So I love the swiping and I come from a place of abundance, but daddy used to pay for it. So I had to grow up and I had to learn and take control of my finances. And I don't even think I'm fully there yet. That's why I love learning for you. And I'm so excited for your book. But yeah, that's where I am now. A little bit about me and super excited to be in this conversation with you.
Love it. So I'm going to give you a round of applause because the fact that you are a Latina who decided to launch a tech startup, like to me, I'm fascinated by technology. Not always, right? When you come from humble beginnings, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. But I became aware of Latinas in tech because of TikTok. Literally, I didn't even know that Latinas could be in tech. And as I continue to invest more in my own personal development, my wealth building journey, my healing my relationship with money, I started to connect with so many of you. So today we're going to talk about PhiloFund and how that takes place as it relates to the work that you want to do to continue with the mission of helping non-for-profits. And so tell us a little bit about the background of the startup that you're working on.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I got to be a part of a project where they were building another donations platform. And I remember my first question being like, no one really needs another donation platform. There are so many problems or different things that exist in the nonprofit sector, which includes power dynamics, right? The person with the money holds the power. There's so much money sitting in philanthropy. There's so much money sitting in donors, and the way it has to be approached, you have to build a relationship and all of these things, which I don't plan on taking away with technology. But there was not a platform that truly connects you to the people who want to give, and that you can be matched to their values, maybe their geographic location. There's directories that exist out there, but no one has really taken the time to build that connection with nonprofits based on how they exist and how they function. And so the basis of the idea was the Tinder app. Which is funny because I've been married for like 10 years, so I've never actually
Tell
got to
us the
use.
truth. Like, tell us the
I,
truth.
no, I genuinely haven't used it, but I'm fascinated by, like, learning about how that worked. And I do know people close to me who met themselves through an app. And I was like, man, like, why do we make it so difficult to find? You have to rely on the nonprofit to have these really great marketing people, which are amazing, but like a lot of them don't have the funds or understand the way SEO works and how to connect. And then the next best thing is word of mouth, right? People hear about nonprofits through other people and building that relationship. And so it became the donor discovery. In my journey, starting tech, and even launching that and starting to do customer interviews, I also realized a really big missing potential, which is the way we view giving. And, a lot of things are popular now, like donor advice funds. And I have my own opinion on creating another system which holds funds instead of giving it directly to the nonprofits and the people doing the work. And so then I was like, what if people actually could take control of that? We do it. We do it with so many apps. We do it with our investing. We do it with, we do it with the way that we save. Maybe, more people are switching from traditional banks to a lot of these apps that you can see how the money moves, how it accrues interest, and how it moves in there. And so I've added another component of PhiloFund, which is that kind of wealth management of giving. And so I have a large background in compliance as well for nonprofits. So I remember like being tapped into on December. Hey, I'm told I got to give this much away. My accountant is saying I should give this much away. Or, hey, I realize I haven't met my quota of giving this year. Would love to give. Funders do it all the time when they haven't met their 5% of assets that have to be giving out every year. And so I also want to make sure that we are taking control of the amount we want to give, how we want to give it, and not have to help third party systems that don't really, it creates another power dynamic for the nonprofit. Give
Yeah.
money, like really bringing back that idea of like give because you want to give without expecting anything in return, and make that a part of your of your wealth. And so of your wealth strategy. And so the app is also going to handle some of that donor relations and the way that donors view their money in giving. And there's a big word that gets used around a lot, which is impact. The impact, how do you measure the joy of a child who graduated college because of an organization? It's really hard to measure. We look for measurements like what's your acceptance rate, or, how many kids went through your tutoring program. But sometimes that doesn't really capture like the joy or the things that that nonprofit leaders do every day to change the lives of people. And so we're also going to be tackling that to really to be defined by what the nonprofit does, feels comfortable sharing, so that the power dynamic is broken a little bit and instead is a partnership. I give to you.
I
I
love
give.
it. I love
Yes.
it. Now, I want to ask you because I want
Yes.
to. I'm like, I understand what you're saying because I've learned about your startup. Thanks to you, that you're like, hey, I need someone to write me a check. So I was like, okay, let's help you
Yeah.
find money. But so, who's the ideal client for Philofund? Is it
Yeah.
a small business owner? Is it a mujer with a 9 to 5? Is it people that already have wealth accumulated, or how does that work?
It's for everybody. It's for the donor who gives $5 because something happened and they want to give back. And it's for the $1 million. We're gonna help you match so that you understand, and it's all in one place. How you give that money throughout the year, and so that you're motivated to give to new orgs, because maybe you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? Maybe you like to give to more than one cause because of your lived experience, right? Many of us, when we're touched by something, which is unfortunately, whether it's sickness, disaster, or we hurt someone, anything, and now you all of a sudden, want to find nonprofits who've done this work. And so maybe there's different things that apply to your values, right? I want to give to cancer because someone I know was affected by that. But I also, like, I'm a mom now and I love seeing single mom entrepreneurs. So there's two nonprofits I want to give to. And so like we want to be a part of that experience. matching you and connecting you and making sure that you can track that, because at the end of the year, you have to count on the nonprofit to send your receipts and put it together and make sure that you gave what you needed.
I loved it. So,
Yeah.
someone who is a multi-passionate woman that loves giving, but also has, I'm going to use myself as a case study, okay? Because people send me DMs and they're like, hey, something is happening. Can you write a check? And I am
Mm-hmm.
someone who values giving, but I also do it at the beginning of the year because
Mm.
I don't want to think about it. Like, I'm just like, if people need things, throughout the month, I don't want to feel the pressure of yes, I have to say yes. And I think a lot
Yes.
of it comes from my people pleasing because I'm still like healing from it.
Yes.
And so I do these at the beginning of the year. And I have very specific organizations that I'm passionate about that I'm like, yes, I'm gonna give you the money. And there's also some organizations that I do every 2 years. So for
Mm-hmm.
someone who has the capital and someone who is multi-passionate, and I'm asking you this very intentionally, Dr. Andrea, because I've seen behind the scenes of
Yeah.
Philo. How does someone know which organization to give when there's so many?
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely already public records that exist. Every organization has to identify themselves through an NTE record, which is where you see the words like humanities or youth or disaster. And so we already have that information. We take it a step further, and obviously, as a nonprofit, we don't want to create profiles for you. We want you to tell your story on our platform. So we'll be inviting nonprofits to update their profile with us and make sure that it's reflects what they want it to reflect so that they get to connect it to donors. And yeah, as a donor, the platform is mainly, designed for you. So you'll be able to say, I want to give this much during this period of the year to these types of organizations, and then we'll match you. And if you've already matched with orgs, you can also put the cadence in there ahead of time. Um, you can definitely give one big chunk, but organizations also appreciate kind of like that sustainability, knowing that you're committed multi-year. And so, we're definitely serving both if you want the big chunk giving now, but if you also like prefer to do that on a monthly, quarterly basis as a part of giving, so that nonprofits themselves on their end can predict what their revenue looks like, so that they can expand or maintain their programs. Because I tell people like PhiloFund is also the solution to what's going on in our administration and our political climate. The fact that they can wake up any day and freeze federal funds, which so many organizations rely on. To me, this is one of those solutions that I want to give to the sector, and is okay. Then let's
Yeah.
create our own wealth system. Like, why, why are we depending on others?
Yes. Look at this. I love it so much. Now, as a tech startup founder, because I think this
Hmm.
is also important to it's an important conversation to have specifically because you have been in the social workspace for so long, right? And
Yeah.
how are you gonna make money with this app? Because I love
Yeah.
transparency and I know my listeners
Yes.
are bien chismosas and they're like, wait, how does that work? Right? Because sometimes
Yeah.
we romanticize the idea of the startup. Like I want us to like, get a little bit like more comfortable talking about like how are you
Yeah.
making money? And yeah, what are some of the hurdles that you are facing right now as a tech startups? And how can we, our community here at Say Hola, will help you spread the word of PhiloFund? So let's start with how are you gonna make money?
Yeah. So PhiloFund makes money several ways. The main one is transaction fees. So obviously there's a percentage. We are wrapping ourselves around Stripe. Stripe is a platform that already many organizations use. It's connected with some of the best also donation platforms out there. And so essentially we are the matchmaker, but the funds get funneled through there, and we have a percentage fees for each transaction. And there's a basic one for free because we want to make it accessible, but then there's a premium. So I am a SaaS company, so subscription paid for service. And
Yeah.
so if you sign up for our premium account, you get a lower transaction rate, but we're making revenue off your commitment to be with Philo. And then much more, we plan on releasing more features to really help our customers tell us what they want and how they've been using, and how there's a huge generational wealth happening transfer right now. And so like we want
Yes.
to make sure that we are targeting millennials and Gen Zs who use technology to make a lot of their life decisions. And none of that kind of exists out there for this kind of for our sector. And so that's how we'll make money. As far as hurdles, oh my God, Lucy, I mean, I feel like I reached out to you almost a year ago and I went through a lot. My co-founder exited. I was the only Hispanic woman in, New York Tech Week. But I put myself out there. And so I feel like it's been a year of growth. I got a therapist, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to make sure I do it right and representative. But it's also hard to like carry like all of your ancestors on your shoulders and all of these things that we put on ourselves as women, as first generation immigrants. And got to work with her through so many things, through so many doubts, through the imposter syndrome, all these things that we put in our heads because we're scared. And I'm happy to say I'm kind of on the other side. I would say since January, I joined an accelerator called Building Our Tech, and most of the founders, identify as minorities. And at least for me, like that was really important, seeing other people who look like me and in the same struggle. Uh, so those have been some of the hurdles. I would say some of the hurdles is also obviously like raising. And I wouldn't necessarily like, yes, we know that women get less funds in BCs, and we know that women of color even more. But also like nobody taught me what that world meant. You have to go out there and read so much. And like I'm like, Claude, explain to me seed raising like a toddler. Like I had to like really go down back into my student mode and like understand how all of this works. What is a safe note? People keep asking me how much I'm raising. What does that mean? And I had to do the homework, right? And I had because we do not grow up with that kind of language, and then maybe I was speaking for myself. Like I did not grow up with
No,
that
I,
kind of
I, I did
language.
not have that. I had to learn it too.
Yes. Yeah. And so like I was like, okay, like if I'm gonna step into these rooms, I have to come prepared, being comfortable. I've been blessed that there's some other orgs like La Familia Foundation that are there for tech founders who are identified Hispanic. The Generator team, Generator with an 8 rater. They've also been really welcoming in getting me in rooms. I've gotten the chance to get many VCs, and I mean, they're most of the time because you're a woman of color, they don't take just a nice idea. They want to see revenue. So I'm so excited that we're going to be launching this summer. I already have my
Yes, what? I
betas.
have to give you a click. Yes.
We have
Please
nonprofits
let it.
lined up waiting to use us as their platform. And I want to add this because I've consistently thought about, you always think about your marketing and your founder story, but I was at an organizing event for Flick with my job and something the day-to-day job I do, which is consulting for nonprofits. And one of the things we talked about is and I say me, Hispanics and Hispanic led organizations in the US continue to use systems that weren't designed for us. And so, like, I'm so excited to say I'm a giving platform founded by Latina and owned by a Latina. And I hope that my Latino orgs will join us because, that wealth is something that is going to be giving back to our
Yes. I'm
community,
like, I want to jump through the
Yeah.
screen and just like hug you. First of all, I want to come back to like the growth. You
Yeah.
know, you've grown and you have done so many things as someone who met you a year ago and someone who is now with you this year, 2026. The growth, it's not just internal. Like, I see you glowing, like, literally, physically, I see you glowing. I see you more confident. And I love that. And so,
Yes.
you are such a great and beautiful example of what happens when a Latina sits with discomfort. When she
Yes.
says it is so
Absolutely.
hard, when she feels like she's going to give up, but she knows that her mission and her dreams have to be almost delusional for her to say,
Delusional.
if that takes me to go back to therapy and I start asking for help, I'm going to put myself there. And yes, while you might be the only woman in rooms right now, I'm watching you. And there's so many people that are going to watch this interview. And I'm going to say, oh my God, she opened the door for me, right? And in that moment, it feels so
Oh,
uncomfortable. But I just want to
yeah.
celebrate you because You're literally the embodiment of the cash libre mujer. I'm like, yes, she did the work. It wasn't good,
Yeah.
but look at where she's at right now.
Yeah.
Now, with PhiloFund specifically, I want you to ask our community, how can we support you? Do you need introductions to non-for-profits? Like, please tell us, like, give us like a
Yes.
step by step. You watching, this is what I need.
Yes. So, sign up. The first thing you can do is go to philofund.com. I spent all of Memorial Weekend redoing the website myself. I was like, you got to put in the nighters, you got to put in the work. So it's done. It's updated with what we're going to launch our beta with. There's a place to sign up for the newsletter. From there, I'll announce I'm doing like a 5 nonprofit and donor focus group. I am scaling because it's a matchmaking app kind of in regions. So if you're in a specific condensed region where you're like, I know 3 nonprofits and I know a couple donors, that's great for me because it's matchmaking. So I have to make sure there's enough donors for the nonprofits I'm signing up on the region. And then, yeah, sign up for the newsletter. And then when the app comes, your girl has to show revenue so that she can get the big money. So, like, even if you sign up for a year commitment, and honestly, like, I think the first year of a startup, like, you get to tell me what you want built. You get to tell me when I go back to my developers saying they are asking for this, which makes the platform even more ours. And so definitely PhiloFund. So it's PHILO fund, philanthropy fund, short, .com. And you can sign up for the newsletter there. And yes, in the summer, if you get to the newsletter, you'll get updates from me when everything goes live from the beta into like kind of full launch. And yeah, if you could invest in that first year subscription, I think that's enough for me to show I can scale and grow this because that's really where you show that people want this. And then most importantly, like there's a team behind me as well developing the app. So like I want to build something that you would like to see in the way that giving plays a role in your wealth.
Yes, I love it. And another thing that I want to add to your request is sometimes we have memberships that don't align with who we want to become. And then B, that money gets funded back to people that don't look like us and oftentimes people that harm our community. So I love that you're asking this of us because sometimes we think, well, it's $50 or $250 or whatever it is, but the fact that you fund the idea of somebody else's dream, I think that also becomes part of healing our relationship with money when we know that there's enough money for, Dr. Andrea to be successful and for us to be successful, right? It's not that mentality of like, oh, ya está ya, ya no, it's like, look at, she's there. She's a
Yeah.
woman of color and she's doing so good. So something that I will do for you right now as you were talking, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to introduce you to 5 non for profits that I can think of right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to ask them. And I also, when the app goes live, send us an email. We would love to promote it through the newsletter. So we have a section called Around the Barrio. And we're always like promoting people. And that's just who we are, right? Because there is so much of what you put out, that's what you receive as well. But I'm just so proud of you for the work that you have been doing.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
Yeah. I my day-to-day business is palantenonprofits.com. That is I serve grassroots orgs all over the US. I am Andrea Doctor Nonprofit on Instagram. You know, gotta use that doctor till I pay off the student loans.
Yes.
And so you can find me there. I'm actually pretty active. I like to write in Spanglish a lot, and really one of my goals is to break down the barriers of philanthropy for our Hispanic led organizations. And then I did want to add something. I'm scared every day. But now I'm more comfortable with it because I've gone through it. And I just want to say people like, yes, I do feel myself exuding more confidence and happiness glow, but that's because I've accepted so many things through therapy. I work through it. And I realized that, you know what? Like when I think about the people I look up to, they all had to do something uncomfortable, something that
Yes.
broke the rules to get to where they are, to open the doors for even women like me. And so I'm going to keep doing the uncomfortable thing. I'm
Yeah.
going to mess up. You're going to watch me do it, but we're going to stay true to ourselves and live ourselves authentically. And I keep saying too, like, I get so angry sometimes watching these billionaires and I'm like, why are we not making like the right people rich? And that starts with looking within our community and the people that we know and see. And that means supporting them. And big fan of small business as well. Like I broke up with Amazon many years ago. I'm not saying I don't fully use it. My husband works for them, but you know, like I just decided to shift my priorities, and I'd rather
Yes.
find someone local and reinvest in my community who's also struggling. I mean, things are expensive now. And so the best way that you can do when you purchase a cake from your local baker, you're supporting their dreams and the children who go to school close to you. So all of that is really important. And that's something that I live by every day.
I love it. I love it. So now, Dr. Andrea, before I let you go, what is your definition of wealth?
My definition of wealth, and I had to sit with this one. When I first started this journey, I was like, I'm gonna raise so much money and exit and like buy all these things and whatever. After my co-founder exited and I went through sort of this, I also looked back and I realized that wealth is having the freedom to be with my kids when I want to be. It's having the freedom to make choices and put my money where my values are, where I think can make the best difference. And yeah, I think wealth is also the stuff that we already have that we take for granted. I have the privilege of working with nonprofits every day, and like even something as small as a paper that says I have a right to be here. To me, that's also wealth and the privilege that I don't take for granted. And I think wealth is having the freedom to follow your dreams. And those don't always, that doesn't mean like quit your job that pays the bills, but it means working towards it and making sure that your decisions are helping that, even if it's very small. Because if I look back, like I tried to be an entrepreneur at 26, failed. I didn't have the discipline. It was hard. I was growing up. I was not mature enough. And now it's a different ball game because I'm a different person because I've learned in all the experiences. So follow your dreams, no matter what age, what time. Make sure that all the little things you've done and are doing are on a way to help you get there and that's wealth, like being able to do what you want at the time you want with who you want. And that's in our health, right? Wealth is our health. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming to the show. And for those of you that are curious about PhiloFund, make sure that you check the link in the show notes because we are going to give you direct access to it. That way there's no excusa de donde lo encuentro, donde lo busco. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all next week.
Thanks.
On the Say Hola Wealth Podcast and its associated entities, all content provided is for general informational purposes only. This information is not intended as legal, accounting, tax, or other professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to seek guidance from qualified professionals such as accountants, financial planners, or attorneys before making decisions based on the content shared. We assume no responsibility for errors, omissions, or misinterpretation in the podcast of its associated materials. Additionally, we disclaim all liabilities from any defamatory, offensive, or inappropriate content shared by guests or contributors. By accessing this podcast and its related content, you acknowledge the terms of this disclaimer.